Confucius, the man who reshaped the mind of an entire China. In ancient times, when the Chinese states were in a period of constant disputes, wars, and rivalries, a boy was born in 551 BCE who would influence the lives of millions of people thousands of years later. His name was Chu, but the world knows him as Confucius. He was born in the small town of Fu in the state of Lu, to a family that was noble but poor. His father died when Confucius was still young, and his mother struggled to secure an education for him, even though she barely had enough for their living. Nevertheless, from childhood, young Confucius showed himself to be a curious boy who observed the world around him with unusual seriousness. Confucius was fascinated by ancient texts, rituals, and the stories of ancient sages. He believed that the past held the answers to the problems of the present. Even as a young man, he began working in lower official positions, where he met both common people and those who held power. Everywhere he saw the same thing: corruption, greed, disorder, and weak leaders who could not bring peace to the country. It was then that the idea began to grow in him that the world could be changed, not through force but through morality, education, and personal example. Confucius believed that every person could become better. It did not matter which family one was born into, but what values one cultivated within oneself. Learning without thought is useless. Thought without learning is dangerous, he used to say, and these ideas soon became the foundation of his philosophy. The superior person, the so-called Junzi, was meant to be honest, modest, hard-working, and should behave in a way that inspired others. Rulers were to be a model for their subjects, and parents a model for their children. If everyone followed the right values, society would heal itself. At the age of 30, he decided to dedicate his life to teaching. He founded a school that accepted everyone, rich and poor. This was absolutely exceptional for the time. His students recalled that Confucius did not teach mere theory. He often walked with them, worked with them, and showed that philosophy was not a set of concepts but a way of life. His closest disciples, including Yan Hui, Zilu, and Zigong, later spread his teachings further, helping to ensure that Confucius's words did not vanish with time. However, Confucius did not want to remain solely a teacher. He wanted to put his philosophy into practice. Therefore, in middle age, he accepted an offer to work for the government of the state of Lu. He soon gained the ruler's trust and became one of his chief advisors. During his tenure, order began to spread throughout the state. Corruption decreased, people returned to work, and the country prospered. Confucius believed that a well-governed state rests on 5 basic relationships: between ruler and subject, father and son, elder and younger, husband and wife, and between friends. If these relationships function correctly, the entire community functions correctly. However, he insisted on moral values to such an extent that he soon came into conflict with those who benefited from the chaos. Powerful men who enriched themselves in the shadows began to circumvent Confucius and intrigue against him. Eventually, he was forced to leave the state of Lu and embark on a long journey through other Chinese states. Some rulers received him with respect, others with suspicion. Some wanted his advice, others feared that his moral stands would jeopardize their own power. Nevertheless, Confucius traveled on, spreading his ideas wherever possible. He traveled for nearly 14 years. Many times he slept under the open sky, eating only what people gave him. Yet he never stopped believing that his message was meaningful. His students followed him, believed in him, and recorded his words. Confucius often said on his journeys, "Virtue is like the North Star. It stays in its place, and yet everything else turns towards it." This simple analogy captured his conviction. When a person is good, they do not need force to lead others. They will turn to him themselves. When he finally returned to his home state, he was already old. He never regained power and did not return to his official career. Nevertheless, his final years were very fruitful. With his students, he organized the ancient texts that would later become known as the Five Classics. Among them were books on history, poetry, rituals, and divination. After his death, his teachings, which we now know as the Analects, a collection of ideas, conversations, and short stories, were also recorded. Confucius died in 479 BCE. He died humbly, without wealth, without great power. But his ideas began to live a life of their own. A few centuries later, Confucianism became the official state philosophy of China, and for more than 2,000 years shaped rulers, laws, education, and entire generations of people. His emphasis on respect, tradition, education, family, and morality survived dynasties and wars. It is still studied all over the world today, and many of his ideas remain surprisingly relevant. Confucius's life shows that great changes do not happen overnight. They are often brought about quietly, patiently, and persistently by people who believe in values stronger than any weapon. And even though Confucius never ruled an empire, he became one of the most influential thinkers in human history. His message remains simple but powerful. A person must start with himself. When a person is good, they change the world around them. And in this lies true wisdom.